And my favorite phrase, what I say in these cases, guys, you always will have ideas more than money. To be honest, keep it lean, keep it small, keep it accountable, because on some stage, they just forgot that adding one single button or one single menu item will affect dozens of screens.
Welcome to Insights Unlocked, an original podcast from User Testing, where we bring you candid conversations and stories with the thinkers, doers, and builders behind some of the most successful digital products and experiences in the world, from concept to execution.
Welcome to the Insights Unlocked podcast. I'm Nathan Isaacs, Principal Content Marketing Manager at User Testing. And joining us today as host is User Testing's Mike McDowell, our Principal Solutions Marketing Manager. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be back.
And today's guest is Oksana Kovalchuk, a seasoned UX expert and startup advisor who's helped countless early-stage founders shape better digital experiences. She's the CEO and co-founder of Onada, a design-driven development agency that's worked with clients around the world. Welcome to the show, Oksana.
Thanks for inviting me. Hi, guys.
All right, let's get started. So I love your background, Oksana, so we're going to get into a lot of stuff today. Before we start talking about UX for startups, just can you tell us a little bit about your background and sort of the work you're doing at Onada?
Okay, Mike. So overall, I have around 20 years of software development experience. So I started doing this when I was 14, and I was obsessed since 5 years old with development technology. It was totally, absolutely, barely nothing that time, but it's some inner feeling. I don't know how to call it properly, but yeah. And right now I'm driving in order to help our clients, to help people who are struggling with bad user experience for 13 years. I'm also doing consulting for startups in Techstars, in United Nations German Council, in Venture Out, and other different startup accelerators who usually invite me.
Well, people struggling with bad UX experiences, they must be tough to find. Yeah, I totally am right there with you in terms of having that calling to come to do something. Yeah, I've been around for quite a long time as well. I happened to just be in the right place at the right time. My boss was like, "Hey, do you want to learn the internet?" Back in the 90s. So really wild, but yeah, it's such a wide open area that people don't realize that there's just so many problems with user experience. We think, people have been doing this for 30 years now. It should all be perfect, right? No, because every time someone new comes in and starts their own company, there's more problems. So talk about some of the most common UX challenges you see with these early stage startups. What are they facing? And how do you and Onada, how do you guide them through some of those problems?
Mm-hmm. There is two big areas. The very first, when people start building the startup, the biggest problem, they want this application love themselves. They're building it for themselves. They're not thinking about target audience or anything else. For example, today, I'm fighting with my clients, so I'm not letting them, burn it with fire. And the man, 45 years old man, he wants to build a AI application for women with some beauty products, with beauty consultant, etc. He wants everything logical, usually men but not about the women. And we said hey, no, just stop, please. No, it wouldn't work. The blue colors, you need to provide feminine design, or if you want to be more in logic, that's not a problem. But different user groups, different segments, they have different buying intent. And anyways, anyone who building the software, they want to earn money. And this money background, you need to keep this. Okay, if I need to skip my ideas, for example, with colors or anything else to earn more money, then it's decision making. But when clients, when startup founders, they want to build application they will love. The second one, the focus. to be honest, startup founders, they want to spend something between $5,000 up to $20,000, including design and development. And my favorite phrase, what I say in these cases, guys, you always will have ideas more than money. To be honest, keep it lean, keep it small, keep it accountable, because on some stage, they just forgot that adding one single button or one single menu item will affect dozens of screens, and it will be significant change. So it's like complexity will added, and then they see like the total price, they scared, they worried like, what about the deadlines, how I will go to the market, etc. And I always say, okay, fail fast, move fast. You failed? Okay, grab the feedback, do something with it, iterate, keep the money for this iteration. If you will put everything like on the zero, you're not a god. You're not a very spiritual person to guess for 100% and be sure with this guessing that yes, it will work. I'm gonna make a lot of money on that.
I think that you just said one of the most poignant things I've ever heard when it comes to a piece of startup advice. If you're ever going to write a book, this should definitely be a chapter. You will always have more ideas than money. And that could not be more true. You have to pick and choose what you're going to do. And unfortunately, to the first part of what you said there, if you're relying on your own opinion and the opinions of your friends, that is going to probably be sending you down the wrong road, because this is an argument that I used to have with fights with development teams and design. You are not your customer. Like that is as long as we've been developing apps, people have had to know that, because what is good for you, who has all this foreknowledge about your business, your idea, your brand, the customer doesn't have that. They just popped into here from some Google link and they don't know what you know. So, and then the other thing about just, a guy like me designing stuff, for women, yeah, clearly I don't have the life experience or the audacity to think that I could design something for a group like that, who is nothing like me. But taking this one step further, we're talking about, we don't have a lot of money, so we kind of have to go fast. We want to go fast. But how do we balance that speed, the desire to go fast, with true UX quality when you're trying to get your product to market and you don't have unlimited funds? So how do you help them balance that out?
Mm-hmm. The very first, we put in their focus in the one single direction. So when you like lean startup, you want to move fast, you don't need $2,000 logo. You don't need $10,000 branding book. You just don't need it. Just no. Like if I can scream this, I will do it. And don't spend money on something that you not really need right now. They thinking that, if it's not perfectly done, nobody gonna love it. Hey, even like 8-star software that we all use in every single day has problems, has bugs. It's not the best, like money transferring, for example, like neobank accounts, neobank applications, whatever. You infinitely pissed off with their experience, but you still continue to use it. It's not such a big problem. Second, where we can speed up using existing design systems, like not try to build, like reinvent the wheel, but somehow startup founders want to do this. And I usually stop them, say, guys, no. Let's use design systems. Yeah, it has its own limitations. You can bring like additional colors, the fonts or icons. It will be like really very hard task. But hey, you still can explore something like Untitled UI or more modern material UI kits. It looks fine. It's enough for you to solve the problem. And like stop arguing about shadows, about shapes. It's like, it's not the focus right now. And of course, the feature set. It's like the most important. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly. It's kind of like before it's beautiful, gorgeous, perfect. Do people even want this thing? Like, are they willing to try to even use it? And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from an old boss of mine was, hey, there's a reason every ATM works the same because it's a design everybody understands. So when a new bank puts out their ATM, they don't try to redesign it from the ground up. They just go, yeah, this is what people understand. You put the card in, you put your password, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, really interesting stuff. And my dad was a mechanic, so I was thinking about him building my own car or something when I was younger. Shifting a little bit now to those design systems and trying to, get your MVP to market first. You mentioned in the beginning, or maybe Nathan mentioned it, but your work with Techstars. And funny enough, I actually did some work with them like 5 years ago and some of the other players in that space. I was doing a lot of hackathons back then. But there's a lot of mentoring that comes into play there. And so when you're not just through your formal business, but when you're doing mentoring and working with other startups in that way, how do you encourage them to use feedback or user testing, not user testing like where I work, but just user testing in general, getting feedback from users to build those things into their process to sort of improve on their MVP or figure out what is the MVP?
Yeah, for figure out what is MVP, we usually working on the backlog grooming because the backlog is usually over 1,000 user stories, and we say, okay, oh my gosh, no, it's like 10 years roadmap. Jesus, guys, just stop doing this. And when I do the mentoring, I have these two cards, yes and no. I always come in with a card no. And when they asking me something, I just put the no card, like with very, very sad face and said, okay, maybe we need to explore this feature, for example, to see the user traction. Your software is not alive even yet. You have 0 users. Do not explore additional features. Understand. Just feel these words. Understand that you wouldn't get anyone's attention in a second. Even if you published your product, you published it in your social networks like links, you upload it to the App Store or Google Play or both, there wouldn't appear like 1,000 users in a second. No. Maybe you will get 2 users, like 2 people who get lost and download that application. You have a very long way to put it in front of your user eyes. Concentrate on that. Check your competitors, like how to focus what needs to be MVP. Check your competitors. What's users, the real users, writes about this? Like, it's pretty nice idea, but it missed this feature, 3 stars. Then, oh, I love it so much, especially this and this feature, 5 stars. Then you go in total disaster. It takes so much time to load, whatever, 1 star. Okay, you're downloading the software or you grab the trial and checking how long it really takes to load the page or make some action. And if you can't see, for example, the really low speed, okay, maybe it's like not very relevant feedback. But in your software, you will see, okay, if you see these buzzwords like speed, reliability, bugs, can't find the function, that's what's your users. It's your competitor. It's really your users. That's what they say. Steal this feedback. And the same, like you can put in front of their eyes your software, and redirecting them in your software, just selling your unique value proposition. Hey guys, we have this function, you mentioned that, we bring it live. And that's enough. Like 2-3 features is overall enough to build an MVP. Just give it to users. They will say what they really need, but still you will need to filter that feedback because sometimes user complains, okay, about really ridiculous stuff. Like we don't have the pink theme in DevOps software. What? Like, ugh.
Yeah, it's really funny. taking things with a grain of salt sometimes is really important. You have to know what to pay attention to, what to not pay attention to. It's one of the reasons why, and I'm sure, in your career, you've seen this, people go, wait a minute, you're getting feedback from 5 people, 7 people, shouldn't you be doing a lot more? And depending on the situation, yeah, you should. But when it comes to your ability to respond to the feedback, you can't have a backlog 1,000 things long because you can only build so much. So why waste time continuing to try to find more and more and more things when you've already got those 5 key things? I actually did a webinar yesterday talking about validating and vetting new ideas for businesses and concepts. So really super important stuff. In terms of that, like that exact framework, is there any story that you can share about maybe where you had to advise a UX pivot? Like you need to change this and it completely changed the startup's product or their trajectory in terms of, hey, they were trying to do 20 functions, but you had them narrow it down through the UX to just like, hey, just focus on these 3 things and let's see if it blows up.
Oh, I have so many stories. One, my favorite one, how like the bad user experience and when the client, like the founder, don't want to meet expectations of users, it's like a sad story. So we receiving like website inquiry from some startup and they attached the funnel of the users. I never saw anything like this in my life. Just bear with me. In a second, I will tell you like amazing thing. They have 98% drop off on the user onboarding in the mobile application.
Wow.
Like, what? My question was, what happening on that screen? Like, what? Okay. I become like very interested, like I was very confused what's going on. We booked a call. I asked this guy to share the screen and show me the application. Your guess, just try to guess what was there. It was a fintech application for personal finances.
Okay. So
any guesses?
It was probably right in the very first field or the second field. They were asking for a very, very specific personal information. I had a similar story to this as well. So,
yes, they want access to credit cards and bank accounts even before you saw real like working application. And he wanted users to make a purchase, entering either credit cards data in plain text fields. So they're looking at this, like if it looks like scam, it's walking like scam. Probably that's a scam, like a duck problem. So all of them just closed the application. I'm worried about that 2% of users who passed that screen, probably with a fake data or whatever. And like the cost of application was $500. So you just download something. It was looking like real MVP. Has glitches, not optimal way, not modern. There is no big name around this product, so there is no trust. So in this story, like, do not ask anything from your users while you didn't build trust. Ask any required information step by step. Like, do not overload users with huge forms, special mobile, because like if application gonna crash, user will open this again and the form will be empty and user needs to start from the scratch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we had this. Okay, so now I'm just going to tell you this one story before we move on. So I used to work at Hertz, the car rental company. And, I built the original website basically in the 90s and did a lot of these kind of things. So one of the big forms, like you're just talking about, was how to join the loyalty program. It was this massive, long form. We built it out, just like the paper form, but this was like 2002. So it was like really early on. We didn't know any better. And eventually the decision was made, let's break this up into 5 different steps. And when I was doing analytics at that time, and someone said to me, hey, can you tell us how it's performing, the new page? And I said, well, you have a massive drop off on page 1 and then massive drop off on page 4. And I'm looking at the pages. I go, well, page 4 is the credit card page. So that's obvious. Maybe people don't want to get their credit card. But what's going on with page 1? So I went and looked at it. The second field was the driver's license number, which is not often given online. And I'm like, well, you're putting this in before anyone's invested any effort. If you require that, put it in on page 5 where they've already committed to giving all this information, and then they'll give it. But you can't do it right up front. People, it's too much of a shock. So that's like very similar stories. And yeah, that one is, that's a hard lesson learned, unfortunately. When people think you're a scam, if that gets out and they rate your app and they say this is a scam or whatever, you don't want that. All right. So to do that, obviously, to identify these things, really UX needs to be more of the culture of the organization. We really need to be thinking about the user experience from the get-go, not just founder's opinion, or founder's friend's opinion. So thinking about user experience, how do you kind of help and mentor these early stage founders build that kind of culture, especially when they're saying, no, my resources are limited, my time is limited? How do you sort of help them with that?
Anyways, whatever you're doing with your application, with your software, it just needs make sense. For example, if you're using font, it shouldn't be less than 14 points on the screen because nobody gonna see it. If you build an app, for example, for elderly people, the contrast and everything what's happening on the screen should be bold and very, very contrast. Then if you having like a few blocks and action items related to this block, these action items like button, for example, should be closer to this block rather than to another. So it's about like paddings and margins. And these laws, they just make sense. It's obvious. We're just not seeing it we're not paying attention in our life. And then when you have a very limited budget on the UX, start with user flow. It's the crucial point. It's the cheapest, to be honest. It's the cheapest stage of user experience, like engineering itself. Do the user flow. So you will ensure that if user landed inside the application, he can go and reach every screen. Because previously in my agency, when we had only development, that was a real disaster. Why? Startups came to us and say, okay, I have small application, 12 screens. Can you build it for me? Okay, I started to review the requirements and understand this. 12 screens is, let's say it's 20% of total number of screens. And that client, he already paid for this design. He paid for the user experience, barely nothing. And right now he expects not a big budget. It's only 12 screens. But no, that screens are not connected together. They're missing huge flows. For example, in profile, there is no payment or subscription management, invoice downloads, anything.
Yeah. Standing up those verticals before you make all those bad decisions and build a disjointed application. So critical. All right, now I got to throw in the obligatory question here. AI, right? Is there any way that you are using AI to help with any of this stuff, to help people figure out better UX practices and culture?
Let's say before yesterday, I will say, yep, AI helping us on every single second. And the biggest problem with clients, with founders, they see their idea in their head, but they can't transfer it into requirements. So we need some translator from the visionary language to technical and business stuff, and then from business stuff to technical stuff, because developers and designers, they expect some kind of user stories, like what you need to do, what this application needs to do. And clients, founders, they want, you need to fill that application. So AI really helps to build in the requirements list. It helps to outline features and sometimes helps as a source of truth for our clients. And the biggest downsides, what I see, it's the creative limitations. People stopping to think out of the box. Like, I was a guest around a week ago on the podcast, and we speak a lot about AI. Like, can AI replace the designers, for example, whatever? You need to have, like, you need to ask very deep questions to yourself. You need to have very creative mind to put everything together, and you need to filter all that information that ChatGPT gives. And yesterday I had a call with one of my potential clients, and she validated everything with a ChatGPT. We provided her a test task, we pitching it, etc. And she reads whole call. She just read me like sounding everything that ChatGPT gives her an input. It can't understand what exactly the vibe was on the screen, the colors. It gives like, we need to add more creativity to this application. Mike, it's a funeral application. What creativity? Illustrations, like.
Wow. Yeah, I could definitely see where it's not giving you the best. I was hoping we were going to come back to what happened yesterday because you started with that. That's wild. Yeah. Whenever I talk to researchers, especially who are UX researchers, about using AI, it's always trust but verify. You know, there's a lot of hallucinations out there. And yes, it does get trained on a lot of people that maybe don't have the best opinions or the most training on certain things themselves. So yeah, you've given me a couple of really good quotes during this podcast, which I love. All right, so now that we've gotten through a lot of this, the design, we're doing stuff, we're using AI a little bit. Let's just talk, like, as we round this up. You know, a lot of people, they think about metrics only, like AI and research, a lot of qualitative stuff. But what metrics do you bring in to sort of track UX success? Is it engagement, conversion? Is it just dependent on what the application is for, like a funeral app? You know, certainly not how many people died, but that's not a UX measure, but yeah.
It depends. For example, if we're doing B2B software, usually, like, we're mostly doing the B2B, there is number of tickets to the support, the sales cycle, because B2B software usually, like, you need to come on the demo call, you will be pitched, and then maybe some deal gonna happen. And if software, like, just ugly, to be honest, if it's like doesn't feel usable, the sales cycle and the salesperson need to negotiate like weeks, months, all the time. And then when we do the updates, we see like real shrink of this sales cycle. And we usually like measure our UX with these metrics. Then if we're doing even like B2B or B2C, like client-facing application, in 2 weeks, in first 2 weeks especially, we check in volume of support tickets that comes to support of this application. And we check in what questions happen in there. If there is like, oh, something doesn't work, not our problem, like development team, it's on you. If user can't find the function, if user can't understand how to make something happen, then we have a problem. Let's sit down, see how many requests like this, how many users affected, we need to fix. Here is our fail. And then additionally, yes, NPS, if that possible. What else? Time to value. It's also very good UX metrics where how long user needs to spend time like inside the application to start seeing the value. Yeah, we have, if we're talking about the B2B application, something for analytics, it's huge onboarding. You need to enter thousands of data, connect connectors, and then you want to see like finally when. And if like for the users, we're talking like about not hours, even like in this case, but days. Oh no, we totally screw that up.
I think that's fantastic that you just said that. because I don't think a lot of people think about time to value for the customer. They think about UX purely as being a service to other business metrics that are important to the business, like you said, like, conversion rate, sales cycles shortening, amount of effort, number of touch points between a sale. But the customer also has to get value, and measuring that time to value for them actually is as important, if not more important, than the company metrics. That's actually really great. If everyone who's listening to this takes one thing away, aside from the, you'll have more ideas than you have money line, it's understand time to value in your application. How long does it take for people to get true value to using it? Because they're going to abandon if they don't get value. So that's really important. All right, I'm going to just ask one last one here. And I want everyone to understand this is important for not just startups and early stage companies, but even big Fortune 50 companies have these problems. And this is it. This is going to be your chance, Oksana, to weigh in and solve the world's problems. So the dynamic of founder, designer, engineer, or sort of PM, designer, engineer, what's your take on how that's shaping UX, the synergies or the conflicts between those three groups? And how do you coach teams to sort of avoid or break down those silos?
The very first, UX is not only one single responsibility of the designers. Hey, the project manager should also add value to the user experience. Developers, they hate it. If it's not about the code, don't even call me. But developers, they need to be connected to this process. Start asking questions. Yeah, developers, QAs, they hate all these meetings, especially when there is no software involved yet. But it's very important, even for the QAs, connect on the user flow creation and start asking questions. For business analytics, I see less and less business analytics involvement right now in the project, but everyone needs to talk with a product team and not say, okay, you're a UX engineer, do whatever you want. This person not specially focused, for example, on future development, and developer can say, whoa, no, this flows too, it's good, but we need to split it, because from the software development perspective, it's it takes unrealistic, it even doesn't make sense to spend such amount of money or time to do how you designed it. Just no. The same for project managers. They usually can, is anybody on fire? No? Goodbye. Because the project manager has thousands of fires out of this door. But here is the place where you can stop creating the fires on your project lately. Because I usually tell, hey guys, when we shaping the requirements, cost of mistake, cost of error, less than 1 cent. You can regroup the text, user stories. It's nothing. It's pixels on the screen. Then when we're doing the user flows, it's around $1-2 per mistake. When we're doing wireframe, $10-20, up to $50. When we're creating the UI, we're talking about hundreds. When we on the development, we're talking about thousands. And then when it's DevOps stuff and we already started the releasing our software, it's dozens of $1,000. So connect the team. For the user experience engineers, for the designers, it's really important to start thinking as a developers, because right now I'm seeing the huge gap. So what my company right now really does, all my team leads, designers, they are switchers from the front-end development. So we never will design something that developer will come and say, my God, where is my beer? No, because we need design not for a dribble. We designing for the users, and with developers, we in one team, we in one board, and we need count on them And developers need count on us, on designers. And when I see like designers, they avoid the grid, totally misaligned screen. They like skipping the part where it should be with the components and consistency. The developer will just implement everything. How he gonna like this day? He wouldn't pay attention to your Figma file. He was like, go away. Like you have no idea what the real software is. And your design wouldn't be implemented. Client wouldn't be satisfied. Developer will point on you all the time and will say that you're an idiot. And yes, that happens daily, every time, what I see like in the teams. So to avoid this like silos, everything, just start thinking about application on the UX stage, not when, okay, we did the requirements, then team, do whatever you think is the best. No, let's connect. Let's grab the feedback like from client. Let's grab feedback from product manager. Let's connect the developer or at least QA manager, QA tester to provide us technical feedback. Then you would avoid like all this back and forth and reduce.
You are just spitting facts today, which is so great. I love the way you broke down the cost of the bug fixes or pivots as you move further down the development cycle, which is amazing. And then the idea of, for you guys at Anota, that you are having, developers that become designers and things like that. So people truly, they have experience and empathy for the rest of the team, which is so key. A lot of companies will try to create these little development pods and things, but having people move through the different roles is super great. So again, another great thing to take away for people outside of the at least 8 t-shirt slogans that you have said on this call, which I think are maybe going to start a business with these. Is anyone on fire? No, goodbye. No, I like that. That's really good. This has been such a phenomenal conversation. I want to thank you, Oksana, for being on the show. How does someone, if they want to find out more about you or Anota, like how would they learn more about your thought leadership and the work that you're doing?
Oh, of course, you always can reach me on LinkedIn. I've started my Twitter to share more like thoughts, what I'm thinking about the UX and overall the business. Sometimes I'm just struggling there. And of course, my email and my website where we post cases and like interesting stories about UX world.
Excellent. And if I'm not mistaken, you're hiring right now, right? You've got a couple of openings that people, if they want to work with you, it looks like there's a couple of jobs that at Anota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go investigate those. Yeah. Oksana, thanks so much. I mean, this was so much fun. I learned a lot actually, and I was laughing a lot too, which is great. That's the best kind of podcast I want to host, is that ones that are fun and informative. So just thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Have a nice day, guys.
All right. Take care. Goodbye. See you all next time.